Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, elder candidate at Redeemer Fellowship.
Saturday, man. We just had a meeting with Pastor Pat.
Yep.
And some CG leaders.
Yep, trying to fix Joe and his waywardness.
No, man, I'm good.
I just pray that you will accept their criticism and their critique.
There was a lot of veneration. I think you're jealous.
I don't know about
I didn't
that.
see any criticism.
So I'm just hoping that you will take what they said and take it seriously.
I do. Especially when they implied that ain't nobody do it like JoJo do it. That's what I.
I'm pretty sure that's not what happened.
That was implied.
Yeah.
So we did that. Now we're gonna record.
After how many weeks?
Man, I don't know. I forgot how to do it. I don't even know how to do this.
You forgot how to talk into a microphone?
A little bit.
And
then after this, I've got pre-marriage counseling.
Yeah.
You've got some editing to do. And then...
and some reading. Got some reading.
Yeah. I got to finish up my sermon. I got a little bit left on that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
about time for you to start on that. That'd be good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. A little bit left to go is I need to start.
I need to start on it.
I basically wait till after lunch on Saturday to get going on my sermons.
That'd be the worst thing to do. That's not true. I mean, all you need is 8 hours or less.
Yeah, that's what my man says. What's his name?
Ryan Hughley? Ryan Hulkley?
Huggy. So, man, listen, a little while ago, I don't know how long ago it was, but you actually pointed it out to me. You sent me an op-ed.
Oh, while you're on vacation.
From the New York Times. That's right. Thanks for sending me this when I was on vacation.
I was like, hey, this is an interesting read. Why don't you read it?
So it's an op-ed piece called Why I'm Leaving the Southern Baptist Convention. And so this is by a pastor who...
Al Mohler.
No, who's not a pastor, by the way. This is from a pastor who explains why he's leaving the SBC. And you guys can read that. We'll link to it in the show notes. And I don't want to get into his article because people stay in and leave denominations for various reasons.
All the time.
What I would like to do, though, is I would like us to talk about the Southern Baptist Convention, the convention, technically not a denomination, but we all call it a denomination. A convention that we are a part of, that our church is a part of, that we're happy to be a part of.
Very glad.
Even though the SBC is a mix of good, bad, and ugly, right?
That's right.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk, at least from our perspective, about what's going right, what's going wrong, and what's really messed up. And I think in any denomination, you're going to have that.
No, and in any organization, when you have, especially one as large as the SBC, you've got all these you've got all these personalities, you've got all these individuals, you've got all these, at times, competing visions and missions within. It's going to get messy. It's going to get disorganized. And so I think, being gracious in the midst of that, realize it's hard to kind of turn a huge ship.
Right.
It doesn't happen as quickly as one would think.
Yeah. And, I'm 44, I think. And
in dog years.
In hobbit years, in
dwarf years.
And it was my generation of SBCers that really began to jump ship. They were frustrated by some of what they saw in the SBC, and that differed from person to person and group to group.
Yeah.
Some didn't think it was reformed enough. Some thought it was becoming too reformed. Some thought it was too legalistic. Others thought it was too liberal. But for whatever reason, a lot of younger people, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, started to leave.
Yeah.
And either become non-denominational or they would plug into a network or something like that. I was one of the guys that thought it was important to stay in. And because I really did believe that that God is doing something good in the SBC, I think that we are becoming better. And I think that what I said back then was stay with us. In 10 years, things are going to look different. They're going to be improving. In 20 years, things are going to be improving. Now, again, it depends on who you talk to. Some people see the so-called writing on the wall of the end of the denomination. I don't think that's the case. But so I thought what we could do is just kind of riff a little bit about, from our experience and our perspective, what is good, bad, and ugly about our convention.
So,
easy enough.
Easy enough.
All right. So what do you think, man? When you think about the SBC, we're going to hold off on the bad.
Yep. We're going to hold off on the ugly.
And the ugly is like the really worst stuff. So we're not.
Yeah.
So like, there's just a few things there. But let's start with the good, right? That's what they tell you to do. You always start with a compliment.
Yep,
Hey, man. Hey.
And then you do the backhand.
Right. Jimmy, man, you look good, man. You've been working out and stuff.
Here it comes.
Yeah, man, I like it.
And
no, I like it. You look good. You got a haircut. You got a haircut. Looks good. I like
it.
What happened to your beard, though? What happened to your beard, dude?
I knew that's what was coming up.
Oh, my gosh.
I knew that was coming up.
It looks like if you could...
Listen, Joe is just jealous of my beard right now.
Oh, no.
No.
Mine looks good.
No,
Mine's
it does
nice
not.
and short.
Yours looks ugly.
I got a fighting beard now, man. I'm ready to go.
Nope, that don't look good.
Oh,
it don't look good.
It looks really good. What are you talking about?
Nope.
I got strangers stopping me on the street going, woo, you look hot.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
really? Which? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't say which stranger. There's no way to prove it.
Yeah. So, what about the good, man? What do we like about the SBC?
I mean, one of the things I'm really enjoying about it is their commitment to planting churches, right? Like I think of NAM, the North American Mission Board. Their commitment to reaching the lost, their commitment to partnering with churches, their commitment to taking care of church planters. I know some of our church planters have expressed their appreciation for the support. And I'm not just talking financially, that's all good, but I'm talking about people like, like we mentioned Chris Wright before and Quasi Mahmoud, right? These guys that are calling.
What'd you call him?
Quasi Mahmoud.
Kusai.
No, I'm talking. You call him and get his voicemail.
I know it's Kusai.
No, it's
not.
Quasi.
No, it's Kusai.
You know what? I call
Kusai
him Q.
Mahmoud. Q. All right,
so
go
Pastor
ahead.
Q.
Yeah.
All right, Pastor Q. I appreciate that Q and Chris that are reaching out to our church planters and caring for them, that they're visiting them, that they're praying for them, that they're listening and trying to give advice for what's going on in their area. So I think there's at least at the regional level, I'm seeing it much more of this hands-on coming alongside. I want to support you as you are fulfilling God's call on your life.
You're right, man. We see this up close, and it's not just the North American Mission Board. It's also Illinois Baptist State Association, because both of them support and work with our church planters that we're sending out. And so, Chris Wright being North American Mission Board, we got guys like Dennis Connor working with the Illinois Baptist State Association. Yep. They love us. They love our planters, and we're the weird ones. Right?
Yeah. We're not really we don't fit the SBC mold.
Yeah, and that there's been no issue, no problem. We're all about the gospel. We're all about making disciples, and they love us. We love them, and our planters feel loved and cared for.
Yes.
It makes a huge difference to know that, they don't just see me as a means of growing the denomination, but though they see me as a part of the family who's been sent out to make disciples.
And I think it's hard enough to plant a church as is, so feeling isolated and alone has to compound that anxiety or that frustration. So knowing that someone's there for you, to support you, to love for you, to care, and to pray for you, I think is really important. Well, what about you, Joe? What is something that you see that's good within the SBC right now?
Well, I'll just continue with this line of thinking, church planting and missions, and just go with the International Missions Board. One of the things that the Southern Baptist did that was so cool was they created what we call the cooperative program. So a church, say like Redeemer Fellowship, we take up an offering, and that offering goes to pay staff. It funds ministries here at the church. It supports our church planters and other missionaries. But we take a portion of that, and we send that to the cooperative program. And the way that it typically works is you send a portion of that money to your state association, right? Your state association of Southern Baptists. And then they take that money, and they'll send most of it, and by most, I mean just over 50% probably. Mm-hmm. They'll send more than 50% of it on to the cooperative program, and then they will take the rest of that money to fund ministry here in Illinois. So you're supporting local missions. The rest of it goes to the cooperative program, and from there it goes into international missions, seminaries, all these other things that we're going to talk about. But specifically, that money is how we largely fund the International Mission Board. People that are going into different countries and contexts outside of the U.S. Mm-hmm. And those missionaries who go into the field are, hang on, lawnmower.
Just the way Joe likes it. This is something you guys don't realize. Joe gets really annoyed when the lawn guy comes by. He's riding there right now. And like even at Joe's house, if we're hanging out at Joe's house and his neighbor...
No, if we're trying to watch a movie on the back porch, then I get annoyed.
Yeah, it happened twice in a row. 2 times in a row where I'm over there one night and his neighbor starts to mow his lawn so we can't watch the movie. And then the next night, remember I came for dinner.
Yeah.
And we heard it again as soon as we started the movie.
But it was 2 yards over.
But it was 2 yards over, so Joe was a bit more forgiving.
So I only sinned a little in my heart.
Yeah.
So anyways.
So back to it, Joe.
IMB.
Here it comes.
Back to it.
Here comes the lawnmower man.
He ain't coming back.
Here comes the lawnmower man. It's getting louder.
No, he's fine.
All right, go.
All right, so when we send missionaries overseas to plant churches and whatnot, they are fully funded. Mm-hmm. They don't have to raise support when they come back. They don't have to go from church to church to church. Hey, can you support my ministry? Here's what I'm doing. They are fully funded. So when they come back on furlough or when they come back, they're just reporting, they're preaching,
that's right,
they're testifying.
Yep.
They don't have to ask for money. It's awesome. And we have had some bad leadership moments in the past with the IMB, so that monies have not been spent wisely. We've been, bloated with our budgets, but that's coming under control. Good things are happening. But I love the
that's
international.
thanks to David Platt.
David Platt had to make the hard call and pull back. Hey,
here comes the
it's my time. The lawn mowing. Jeez.
All right, David made the hard call.
Yeah, to say, hey, we're gonna have to cut this budget, which means we're gonna have to we can't fund all of these missionaries. We don't have the money,
and it's hard, right? Like when you're sitting there, and I think that's the part of leadership that comes into play is you've got a group of individuals, people that are sensing God's call on their lives, and you need to make the hard decision of saying, well, hold on, at this point, we're not fiscally able to.
Yeah,
it'd be fiscally irresponsible for us to do this without having what's coming in.
That's right. So I like the IMB a lot. I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, dude.
Joe's so annoyed right now. I wish
he's not doing anything wrong. I know he's doing his job, but come on, like the one window. This building is huge. It's got windows all over the place, but he's right here while we're recording. All right.
This is one of the few times I wish we had a camera that was streaming this just so people could see how annoyed you are.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
He's right there. He's just circling our window now.
No, I know. He's just doing donuts in the grass, just laughing at me. No, he's actually a really good guy, and he takes really good care of our lawn and our property and everything. So, Jimmy, do you got anything else? Like I wrote down a few things.
You wrote down a few things that are good?
What do you like? Anything else you like? You got to like some other things about the SBC. What's some good?
I mean, I think for me, what I would appreciate, or what I have appreciated, is the leadership over at the ERLC with Russ Moore.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that that Russ and the people over there is like they're really actually sensing how is it that we as believers interact with our culture, especially specifically in the political realm. What does it mean to be God's people here as a U.S. citizen?
Yeah,
and not just kind of towing the line.
Yep.
Right. And so I think they've raised some good questions. They've kind of pushed us in difficult ways. I think we've kind of seen that happen. But I think it's been something of a prophetic voice within the SBC.
I totally agree, man. And there was a time when the ERLC didn't really feel that good to me, where it did feel a little bit too oriented toward one particular political group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I love it. I think it's great. I also like the SBC disaster relief. We actually have, a lot of people don't know about this, but we have a pretty robust disaster relief team, which goes into cities and communities that are in crisis. They give out water and all of that stuff and help with food and all these things. So that's really good. And then of course we got our seminaries. Right now,
which is like,
well, we got 6 seminaries.
Okay, 6 seminaries. Name them.
Well, I can name all of them.
I know I can't. That's why I'm asking.
Okay,
you.
I thought you were trying to put me on the spot.
No,
I
no. There's like the New Orleans one. There's
New Orleans Baptist, Golden Gate in California.
Okay, Golden Gate,
Southwestern.
I've heard of that one. Southwestern.
Paige Patterson.
Yep.
You got Southeastern.
I've heard of that
Danny
one.
Danny Aiken. You got Midwestern.
Midwestern, heard of that one.
And then you got the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky.
All right.
My alma mater.
Golden Gate, I did not know about.
Yep.
Never heard
So
of that
the 2 that I really like, actually, the 2 that I'm really excited about are Southern, of course.
Southwestern
No,
and
Southern.
New Orleans?
No. No, Southern and Midwestern. Those
Gotcha.
two seminaries are great. I love them for the SBC. So I think there's a lot of good things going on. We could mention more, but in general, we've seen the denomination accomplish a lot of good for the gospel, for the good of people in the community, and these are things that we can rejoice in. It's Baptist, right? I guess that's one of the things I would say is I like that it's a Baptist denomination convention.
Yeah.
That's pretty broad. You know what? I'll say this was what I like. I like our Reformed heritage, our theologically Reformed heritage.
Now, some would disagree with you on that.
Well, the traditionalists are just wrong if they say we don't have a Reformed heritage. It's a historically silly thing to say. Now, that doesn't make Reformed theology right. It just means that our heritage as a convention is Calvinism. It's a robust, evangelistic, missions-oriented Calvinism. And so, those churches that founded our convention in 1845 were all 1689 churches or from 1689 associations. They were all Calvinist churches. So I like that. That's something that appeals to me. It's one of the things that encouraged me to really look into the SBC when I became Baptist as a Christian. But not everything is good.
No.
Not everything is good. Not in any church. Just because you go to a place that cuts hair good doesn't mean the particular haircut that you get is going to be good.
All right,
right,
Joe,
Jimmy?
No, that's not true. Right,
of course it's true. Are you saying that's not true?
No, I'm saying what you're trying to insinuate.
I'm just saying, like, as an
What
example.
you are trying to insinuate is that my haircut looks bad.
All right, go ahead. Let your hair fall. I'm going to take a picture right now. And then I'm going to put this picture up online so everybody can see it. And then people can vote. All right, so shake it out.
Shake it out.
All right, go ahead.
Shake it out. Hold on. All right, here.
Shake it out for real. Now shake it. You gotta let it fall forward like it does.
No, it's like this.
No, you're pushing it back.
No,
You're leaning back. Come on.
This is the way it is.
All right, push that mic out of the way.
What do you mean?
Oh, see, you're doing it again. You're pushing it all back. Let it fall forward like it's supposed to.
No,
Shake it.
No,
there you go.
I blue dried this morning.
You. All right, now listen.
I hate you. I want you to know how much I hate you.
You look like a page boy with that haircut. All right. So, like your haircut.
No, it's not.
There
like
are
my
some
haircut.
things
Some
in the
people
SBC
just get
that
really
are
jealous
bad
because they've got no hair.
I listen. I would give up a lung for that hair. I would.
I know.
100%.
Exactly.
I'd give up
Why
cigars.
Why are you crying? Why are you crying?
Because I'm
right
looking
now?
at the glory of your hair, but it's been
You really
dishonored
are
with that cut.
It is not dishonored.
All right. What about the bad, man? So there are some things that are wrong.
With any organization, there's going to be some things that are
just a few, like just a few,
things.
but like the important ones.
I think for one of the important ones would be maybe there's the division within the SBC, right? And it's not like there's a difference, I think, between, we have subtle differences on certain
Differences
issues.
and distinctions versus,
I think,
division,
right? Like, I think that, and the way it kind of gets played out, I think is more where I'm trying to go to. I don't know how to word it. It's like, because it's like almost like attacking. Like there's like this backhand against each other,
right?
Trying to one up or trying to.
And it goes
win.
both ways,
goes
right?
both
It's
ways.
not
That's
just
what I'm
like
trying to
one
say.
group and another
No,
group's
it's
not
just one
doing
group.
it. Like the big elephant in the room is traditionalists and Calvinists.
Yeah, and that's
in the SBC.
And so that goes both ways, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like how do you because I think that's what we're hoping for. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Is how do we stay united together on the things that are important? We're talking about the gospel here, right? Like how do we stay united on the mission that we have together?
Every Calvinist and every traditionalist should be able to say with a clear conscience and with great joy that God sent his son, Jesus Christ, to die for sinners.
That's right.
And he has called us as his ambassadors to go out into the world to preach the gospel to every creature and to make disciples. All right, and we're Baptists, so let's get it on.
That's right.
Let's get going. Like, we can disagree and debate and have differences.
And I'm okay with that.
But the division and like the hostility.
That's the part. The hostility, I think, is the, I was thinking of the word visceral earlier, right? The hostility towards each other. And then when we don't agree on something, it becomes such a like the whole thing with Russ Moore. Like the whole thing with Russ Moore became, in my opinion, it became unnecessarily divisive.
Oh, yeah.
And, Russ apologized for what Russ needed to apologize for. But the fact that people would just like take their ball and go home, like withhold monies that were
Yeah.
going to important cooperative programs.
Yeah, boy, that's veering into the ugly territory, not just the bad, isn't it?
For me, it is
Oh,
because
yeah.
that to me, well, and I won't go.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
It's a business thing. It's a business thing. It's a low down tactic.
Yeah, trying to manipulate.
Trying to manipulate and force, because in your head, what you believe is money talks.
Yep.
And so I'm going to hit them where it hurts in the wallet. And then they're going to go ahead. I'm going to get them to listen to me by withholding that.
It just because you and I talk about your business a lot, and not Jimmy doesn't disclose any, things that I shouldn't know, but he just tells me how business works. And so one of the things that you frequently explain is how businesses go at one another. Even if they're not hostile, they have to use leverage, and the leverage pretty much always comes down to finances.
Yep, that's it.
And so you do see it happening here, and that was just
It's just fractions of a fraction of a cent,
man. Come on, let me just say this about the traditionalists and the Calvinists. If you're getting all butt hurt and bent out of shape and getting angry, and like you're just like flaming people, you're weak, man. I think that's pretty weak. Now, if you're addressing heresy, if you are debating, you can be intense and all of that. But man, you gotta keep it civil. You gotta be cool. If those are your brothers and your sisters in Christ, then you got to show them love, even if you have to correct them, and give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't lie about them. Don't misrepresent them. And this happens on both sides. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's not like, oh, well, the traditionalists are the victims and the Calvinists are the bad guys. No, you're both the bad guys.
Yep.
Okay. So let's not pretend that one crowd is getting totally beat up by the other. This does go both ways. But that I think you're right, man. I think the division is one of those things.
Is there anything you see that's bad?
Yeah, I would say one of the bad aspects of any group this size is the bloated bureaucracy. We're so big, and when you look at the state level, my experience has been, if you look at all of the people employed at the state level, so all the money from our churches are in Illinois are going to Illinois State. They keep a percentage of it, just under 50% typically, and then the rest goes on. So what are they doing with that 50%? Well, a whole lot of people are employed, and my take is we could be eliminating some of those jobs. Some of those positions are a waste. So now listen.
Don't give an example of one because,
Oh, for example. No, but listen, some of this stuff, we can be better stewards of the money and of the resources. I'd like to see more churches planted. I'd like to see more churches revitalized, and I think we could be doing better. But but that's going to be true of any denomination or of any network. Once you get to a certain size,
and it's also.
we
also need to bear in mind that we don't know what actually happens at that state level.
Oh, I know.
No, you don't.
I know. So
when Joe says this, Joe doesn't actually understand.
I understand.
No, you don't. Joe
totally
doesn't have any experience at the state level.
Of course I do. I've been in the state building a bunch of times. I've been in there. In there.
Joe doesn't understand the day-to-day operations.
I know.
So, anyways, you might be right, Joe, because any organization is going to have bureaucracy.
Oh, because I know
any organization
we do get to look at the budget, and we do get to look at what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, his experientially, Joe doesn't know.
I just know factually. I know intuitively. But honestly, when I look at the SBC, it's like the bad. There's some things, but it's the kind of thing that I think you're going to see in any network or denomination. You're not going to see. Listen, this side of the resurrection, you get two of us together, we're going to argue.
Yep.
So I mean, you get 6 million people together. There's going to be some problems, and
there's going to be tension.
And you know what? I can deal with that. I can deal with the bad.
Yep. But it's the ugly that's the issue.
Oh, the ugly can bring out the ugly in me.
Well, I'm going to defer to you, sir, on the ugly.
Why don't you want to address the ugly?
I
would think like you of all the people that I know, you would be really good at understanding ugly.
Like you've been in the SBC for a lot longer and have seen it through its transitions and stuff. So, and what do you mean you? What do you mean you ugly? What does that mean?
I mean, if anyone understands ugly,
what are you trying to get at?
I'm just saying that haircut, man. That haircut is so messed up.
I hate you.
I keep trying to sneak a picture of Jimmy with his hair down without him brushing it back and feathering it like he's in the 70s. And every time I get my camera ready, he pushes it back, so I can't get a picture of what it really looks like when he's just walking around.
I didn't put enough.
enough length on it. I know it's pretty short. Okay,
It is really
so
short for me.
the ugly, when I think about it, the ugly of the Southern Baptist Convention is our racist past and though I think it is small, our small racist presence or present. That we had a racist past, I don't think you can really dispute that. It doesn't mean that people necessarily thought exactly in the same terms that we do today when we use that word. But the Southern Baptist Convention was started by people who were pro-slavery. And while that wasn't their jam, that wasn't their thing, slavery wasn't what they were all about, they were pro-slavery. They wanted to send people into the mission field. They wanted to be engaged in, Great Commission ministry. But the northern churches were not allowing the slave-owning people to go to the mission field and across cultural context. So they started their own denomination, their own convention, the Southern Baptist Convention. So slavery was really one of those big issues that gave birth to the SBC. And mission. So slavery and missions are the two weird things that propelled this new work. And those slaveholders were engaged in a variety of misdeeds. Some were certainly more just than others, but there is sin and evil in anyone owning slaves in that way, and racism played a part in that. So for that's our origin. That's ugly. Now, the origin of something does not determine its current value, worth,
Correct.
or meaning.
Correct.
It doesn't, right? So whether you're talking about, Christmas, Halloween, or the SBC, its origin does not determine its current value or meaning. Now, in the 90s, there was a public demonstration of repentance from the SBC. What would be the word? Rejecting their racist past, which is very good. I think it was 98. I don't remember. But a really good thing. But of course, racism is still alive and well in the world. Therefore, it's alive and well in denominations, and that includes the SBC.
Absolutely.
So it's not a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise when I say, there is racism in the SBC. Of course there is, because there's racism in any denomination or most denominations. Yeah. There's going to be aspects of racism. Now, I don't think there's institutional racism or prejudice in the SBC, but it exists at the church levels for sure, and in various places at various times.
What do you mean it exists in the church level? What do you mean by that?
Well, churches are, so for example, I know for a fact that there are churches that are racist, meaning that they on some level believe that minorities should be pushed aside, if not rolled over, by the whites, that they consider African Americans, for example, Hispanics, to be second-class citizens. They don't trust them. They wouldn't allow them to ever be leadership in their church on principle. So there is racism in some of our churches, just because racism is all over the place, and you're going to find it in, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you don't have sin in your life or in your heart, and that you don't get confused, or that you aren't ignorant, or that you aren't just stupid about racial issues. That happens. I pastored a church in Central Kentucky where I saw racism. I saw it, and I addressed it. Maybe super popular, and so I know it exists at the lay level, or even at the pastoral levels in some churches. It's just there. I don't really see it so much at the institutional level. Doesn't mean that there aren't problems, but I don't see it there. But I do see it in our churches. So when I'm looking at the ugly, the big thing that comes to mind is how are we dealing with our past? And you can't change the past. You just got to recognize that's ugly. And then how are we doing with our present? I think we're doing better, and I think we can continue to do better.
Well, what do you think of that vote over at the last SBC?
Yeah, I wasn't
meeting,
there.
right?
I wish that I was there. My understanding is Well, I think the thing is complicated.
It's not as cut as dry as I think we'd like for it to be, right? Like we want everything to be simple and like, oh, okay, it's either you're this or you're that, and I don't think it can always be like that.
So, an African American pastor at the last annual meeting of Southern Baptist proposed a resolution. Now, a resolution doesn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. It's just a statement that the denomination votes to affirm. And so it's just sort of like a talking out loud thing. Like, hey, we want the world to know this is something that we believe as a convention. And so this one pastor put together a resolution that spoke against the racist or the racism of the alt-right. So that's the gist of it. And where there was discussion about it, there was. I don't know if they were even going to bring it to the floor for a vote because that recommended resolution has to go to the committee, and the committee has to agree that they'll present it to the whole floor. I don't think it was going to make it. Then there was a big stink about it. So then it was tweaked, and then it was presented, which is normal. They tweak them all pretty much, and then they presented it, and then they voted on it. So I don't know if it changed the content of it. I wasn't there. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but
I think the issue was that the committee wasn't going to take it to the floor.
Right.
Originally.
Now, listen, again,
or there was some holdup somewhere.
Yeah, they weren't
again.
This
is a bit ago.
We don't know. Yeah, we weren't there, but yeah, that was my understanding. My what I've heard is that they weren't originally going to bring it to the floor, maybe listen. There's no doubt a lot of Southern Baptists voted for Trump. That doesn't mean they're racists. I've already agreed racism is alive and well in the SBC.
Yeah.
Voting for Trump does not make someone a racist. In fact, none of the people that I know who voted for Trump are racists, including the African-American people that I know who voted for Trump. That's right. I know them. So it doesn't mean that you're racist. Trump could be a racist. I don't think that he is, but Trump could be a full-blown racist. That doesn't mean people that vote for him are racist. And so the alt-right as a movement is made up of people, of different people, different groups, and some of those groups are racist for sure. But not all of the people in the alt-right are. Now, I'm not one of them, that's for sure, because I'm not crazy. But I tend to be a very conservative, more of a libertarian, edging towards anarcho-capitalism. Sometimes I'm kind of a mess trying to figure out what I am. Mm-hmm. But to say that alt-right equals racism is problematic enough in terms of a discussion that maybe that's why they didn't want to bring it up. I don't know. But they could have just said, hey, look, we want to decry racism in all of its forms. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're asking, so I have to answer. But I don't really have the scoop on that. I wasn't there, and what I do know about the alt-right is not very impressive, and I've got my concerns about it. But I don't think that everyone who is a part of it is racist, and I don't think it necessarily demands racism.
I think one of the questions that I think we get asked of, I know I certainly get asked a lot of, is what's the point of joining the SBC?
Yeah, it's a good question too. And it's one that we like to answer because in the end, when you look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, the SBC is worth joining. It's worth being a part of. Listen, nobody is asking us to say this. This might be one of our least popular subjects because who cares about the SBC if you're not already in it, right?
And they ain't paying for sponsorship.
No,
they don't want us.
No.
SBC don't want
us. We offered. But hey, you want? We said, hey, what's that? Hey, you could spot. Nothing happened.
No.
So here's the thing. The reason it's good to join something like the SBC, and the SBC in particular, for Baptists, right? Because you got to be a Baptist to be in the SBC, is that number one, you can do more together than you can on your own. So you get to partner with other Baptists, pool your resources, and see great things happen.
Yeah.
So everything from disaster relief to seminary education to international missions to church planting, man, some really good things are happening. So you get to participate and be a part of something that's really, really good. Plus, those resources are there not just for others, but they're there for you. So seminary education and things like that, those things are more affordable to you because you're already participating with it. When we started Redeemer, we became an SBC church, and we didn't expect to get a thing out of it. We didn't want a thing out of it. And to be honest, I didn't really know how the SBC could even help us because we're an openly Reformed Baptist church. We're not going to use a lot of SBC stuff. We're going to use our own stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever. But we're happy because we want to be a part of something good like that. But now, as we're planting churches, they have been very supportive of us, of our interns, of our residents, and it's been great. We have a great relationship. So if you're looking to partner, look for networks, look for denominations that share your core theological values and beliefs, who are showing themselves to be effective at getting things done that matter, and who aren't really trying to hide the bad or the ugly so much. And I think that's the case with the SBC. So I'm down with the SBC. We're happy to be SBC.
Yeah, you know me.
They all right.
They all right. They good. Mm-hmm. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, man. Join the conversation. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head out on the website, doctrinedevotion.com. There you can send us an email. You can sign up for our email blast, and you can hit up the store and grab yourself some merchandise. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday, blog posts on Wednesdays, and we actually do have video content coming soon.
We worked it out. We got it. Oh, did you buy the thing yet? You didn't, did you?
I didn't buy it, no.
You were supposed to buy it the other day.
Yeah, I was busy.
Oh, please.
You
ain't got no kids. You ain't got no wife.
I got a job.
But not at night. You're not doing anything.
I'm sleeping.
No, you're smoking on the back porch.
I go to bed.
I drive by.
I
drive by and check.
I go to bed at 6 o'clock.
No, stop it.
6:30.
You do not.
I do. I wake up at 3:30.
You stop.
You stop.
I was texting you well after that.
Yeah, I answer yours. You're VIP.
That's right.
Yeah. Not going to argue there, huh? Not going to argue there. Now I lost where I'm at. Thanks,
Who cares?
Joe.
Nobody was listening. They don't listen to the end.
All right, guys. Later.